Hello everyone, today we continue to learn HCIA Cloud Computing. This section is the content of the last chapter. We have to learn the development trend of cloud computing. As we said before, the cloud computing is the foundation of other fields, and other fields are also promoting the continuous development of cloud computing. So, what is development trend like? What emergent technology related to cloud computing has recently emerged? This chapter will mainly introduce you to this concept. There are three goals in this chapter. First, it is necessary to introduce the implement technology of cloud computing. And then you need to understand the relationship between cloud computing and other fields. And finally, you need to understand the development trend of cloud computing. Okay, first let's take a look at some of other fields related to cloud computing.
Let's start with IoT. IoT is also a term that is very hot in recent years. So, what is IoT? IoT is actually a result of the Internet, which connects all things. It is the communication and interaction between people and things, and between things and things. This is called the Internet of Things. Specifically, it is all about what you can see around you. The idea for IoT is very large and has not yet been fully realized. However, some of them have already been implemented. For example, our common smart home. We have home light switch, air conditioner, and TV. We can connect them to the network, and we can control them opening our clothing when we are not at home. There is also an example of a very popular product for children watches sold in the past few years, which is also the concept of IoT. Bring the children a children's watch, and then you can locate the children anytime, anywhere. If there is danger, the children can ask for help. When IoT is actually implemented, it is not just the electrical appliance in the home. It may be a trash can in the communities. It will automatically reflect that the trash can is full to remind the staff to replace or clean the garbage. There are several technologies that are often used and are the most important in the IoT. The first one is RFID technology, which is radio frequency identification. This technique of using radio frequencies to identify identity is basically used by everyone. For example, the bus card, the access card of the community, the meal card used in the canteen, all belongs to the radio frequency identification technology. In the IoT, we will use this RFID technology to give each of the connected items a separate identity ID, identifies where the object is, and so on. The second technology is the sensor. The main reason why we want to connect all things is that get the state of this object through this network, and get some information from it. The state of this information is from the sensor. Sensors are already very popular around us. For example, there must be a smoke sensor in the office building to trigger the fire by detecting if there is any smoke. They usually have a sound sensor in the community. If you stand in the corridor and make a loud sound, the light will automatically light up. Some advanced cells will be equipped with light sensor. When there is no light after dark, or when there is insufficient light, it will automatically sense and then turn the light on. The third is the embedded system. After all things are interconnected, we not only need to identify information, but also get some data. We also need to do some simple data processing. After this time, a system is needed. This system can't be too big. It needs to be embedded in a system. This is called an embedded system.
Okay, next let's take a look at the big data. When we connect everything, various objects generate a lot of data. Some data just remind people what to do next, and there is more data. We hope to collect this data for analyze and find the information we need. Big data is a collection of data that takes longer than the tolerated time to capture, manage, and process data using common software tools. At present, the main source of big data comes from internet connection, human-machine interconnection, and so on. The data is huge, so the results need to be richer and more accurate.
And there are 4 characteristics of big data. We call it 4 V features. The first is volume. As we can know, they have a large amount of data. The second is variety. We usually collect different kinds of data. Some are text data, some are sound data, some are video data, and so on. The third is velocity. The data collected at a certain time does not represent forever, so we need to update data set frequently. The last feature is value. We use big data to extract some information or results that are valuable to us from this data. How to dig out the value it should have from big data? Generally, there are the following steps. The first step is to collect the data from the IoT sensors we talked earlier. Some are from the processing through the embedded system, which are all collected. After collecting the data, we have to deal with it uniformly. So we need to transfer the data to a unified place for store. The data we collect is diverse, and even some invalid data or incomplete data, so we need to deal with them. Clean it up with invalid data and complete the incomplete data. After the data processing is complete, we can analyze the data, then go deeper and dig out some of the volumes contained in some of the data that we really don't see. Finally, apply this result to the specific application. The whole process of data processing is actually a circle. The first step is to collect the data from application, then clean the data, filter out useful information, and then find the knowledge we can't see through the relationship between the information, and then put the knowledge into the new application. And then, let's do a brief introduction of the artificial intelligence. We have seen AI from many science fiction movies. It is to let the robot replace human beings to do something that humans should be able to do. The most representative AI product of the past few years is AlphaGo, which won humans in the Go game. The fields of AI include robotic language recognition, image processing, and natural language processing.
Generally speaking, AI will contain 4 elements. The first is big data. AI is a wisdom that is analyzed and calculated through big data. The second is computing power, which is a foundational support for AI to mine wisdom. The third is the algorithm. The algorithm is a way to realize AI fundamentally, and it is the most effective way to mine data intelligence. In the last instance, big data, computing power, and algorithm are used as inputs, but they must be combined with actual senses for output to reflect this actual value. This picture shows the relationship between cloud computing, IoT, and big data. First of all of IoT's devices, the Internet of Everything, and our traditional Internet, mobile Internet, will be used as data input for big data. After the input is transferred, it will be concentrated in one place for calculation.
This place may be the data center of cloud computing, or it may be somewhere else. Big data has a feature that is not always calculated during calculations. The data comes up and then calculated. After computing it, you need to release the resources. This is precisely a feature of cloud computing. This is a feature of resource resiliency we mentioned earlier. So cloud computing provides a resource for this data calculation for big data. We have said before that the essence of cloud computing is actually the Internet plus computing. Now we are about to enter the 5G era, and 5G is just the latest Internet technology. It refers to an industry standard, a standard for the 5th generation of mobile communication technology. In the 5G era, the bandwidth of our mobile is higher. The network speed will be more reliable. The delay will be lower, and there will be a huge amount of this 5G base station. And then let's look at this picture. Compared to the 4G era, 5G will have a lot more base stations, and its size will be much smaller. Maybe we can see that there is a 5G base station on one of the boxes inside the elevators.
Okay, in this video we have introduced you about the IoT, Big Data, AI and 5G. After understanding the fields related to cloud computing, next video let's take a look at what other technologies can be implemented in cloud computing besides the virtualized we have talked about. Bye!